Hello, this is my review of the Evil Dead trilogy, directed by Sam Raimi, starring Bruce Campbell. The first movie came out in 1981. The movie was actually filmed in Morristown, Tennessee. The movie is good, gory fun. It starts with five friends going to a cabin in the woods. The isolation that you feel with this cabin is great. The characters have to get to it by traveling an old dirt road. The cabin itself is like a character in the movie, and it's become infamous just like the character of Ash himself. So we follow our heroes as they discover a recording device that was left by a professor doing incantations from the Book of the Dead, the Necronomicon. Our heroes unwittingly unleash a horror ancient demons known as Deadites. It is interesting that they actually do not call them Deadites until the second film. This movie has a controversy around it concerning the famous tree rape scene. Sam Raimi has gone on record to say that he didn't mean for it to turn out that way, that just the girl gets attacked by trees, although there are very sexual undertones about it, causing it not to be shown in certain areas. The characters trying to escape the confines of the cabin go back down the dirt road and find that the bridge has been destroyed. In a great scene, the visual of the bridge looks like a hand, as if it's stopping the characters themselves from leaving. Also, in my favorite scene of the movie, the car is pointing towards the bridge. Ash gets out to look at the damage of the bridge. However, he is on a 45-degree angle while the car appears straight ahead. They actually achieve this by tilting the camera and the car itself. To me, it's saying that Ash's reality is different now and that he cannot go back since the evil is unleashed. One by one, Ash's friends succumb to the demonic Deadites. Also, it's interesting to note that this movie is very, very gory, which is awesome. Bruce Campbell said himself that after filming, that his shirt was covered in so much fake blood that when it dried, it broke. So Ash defeats the evil by burning the Necronomicon itself. We see darkness give way to the light of day. Ash steps out of the cabin, but an evil comes for him, breaking down the doors. We hear Ash scream, and that's the end of the movie. Also interesting to note that the location of this cabin has been kept secret for many, many years, and that it has burned down since then, and even rumored that Sam Raimi burned it down himself because he claimed it was haunted. Evil Dead 2 came out in 1987. It was filmed in Wadesboro, North Carolina. According to Bruce Campbell, Sam Raimi couldn't get the rights to his original work, so this one is a requel of sorts. So we open with a retelling of Evil Dead 1 of sorts. Ash and his girlfriend Linda go back to the infamous cabin in the woods. Linda once again gets possessed by the Deadites, and Ash has to take her out. He first chops off her head, then chainsaws her body to pieces. The Deadite evil forces torture Ash mentally. It even possesses his hand, which he himself has to cut off. It's interesting to note that this movie is hilarious. Most people categorize this movie as a comedy horror, which is evident when Ash fights his hand and it flips him the bird. My favorite scene in the movie is when all the household items, including a mounted deer head, starts laughing, and Ash just gives in to the craziness. He himself succumbs to the madness and starts laughing along with all the household items. Around this time, the other characters join in at the cabin. The only one of note really is Annie Noby. She is the daughter of Professor Noby, the guy who translated the Necronomicon. At first, they think Ash is a burglar. They beat him up and throw him down in the fruit cellar. They play Professor Noby's infamous recordings, and he lets it be known that he killed his wife, chopped her up, and put her into the fruit cellar. As soon as the recording is done, Henrietta makes her appearance, played by Ted Raimi, Sam Raimi's younger brother. Ash begs Annie and her friends to let him out of the cellar, and they acquiesce and let him out. But then, shockingly, not really, all of Annie's friends become possessed by the Deadites. Annie, who is able to translate the pages of the Necronomicon, states that they need to make the evil flesh manifest and then open up a vortex and send the evil through. The other female character, known as Bobby Joe, runs out into the woods. Here, the trees attack her, and Sam Raimi has learned from his infamous tree rape scene. This one is not as sexual. Her boyfriend, named Jake, takes the Necronomicon pages, throws them in the fruit cellar, and forces Ash to search for Bobby Joe. It's at this point where Ash becomes possessed himself. But not to worry, our hero fights off the possession. He is the only character to do so. Ash and Annie go to the work shed and gives Ash his infamous chainsaw hand. Now he's ready to get the pages in the fruit cellar. He has a final battle with Henrietta. Ash and Annie use the pages to open up a vortex to send the evil through. However, Ash himself gets sucked into the vortex. Now begins the final chapter. Army of Darkness came out in 1992. We first see Ash and he's in captivity. Our hero has come out the other side of the vortex and landed in the year 1300. He is mistaken for an enemy soldier and is thrown into the pit at the castle of King Arthur. This movie has even more comedy and shtick than Evil Dead 2. A lot of people don't like this one because of all the comedy, but I think it's pretty decent. Anyways, Ash defeats the Deadites in the pit and is treated like a hero. The wise man claim that he is the warrior of prophecy and that he must quest for the Necronomicon. Only it has the power to send him back to his own time. So Ash sets off on his quest, and along the way, he comes to an old windmill. He breaks a mirror, and little tiny ashes come out of the mirror. We get this hilarious scene where Ash fights the tiny ashes, and one goes into his mouth and it creates an eye on his shoulder. The eye starts to grow into another Ash, an evil Ash, if you will. And there's a great scene where they start fighting each other. Finally, he pulls free from Ash, and Ash is dumbfounded. He's just in shock and awe of this doppelganger. This is where the copy says that his name is Evil Ash and that our hero is Good Ash. And here is my favorite quote where he sticks the gun in Evil Ash's face and says, "Good, bad, I'm the guy with a gun." Pulling the trigger, Evil Ash does an Olympic backflip. Ash takes his body, chains it down, and saws it up with his chainsaw. He buries Evil Ash and heads to the graveyard where the book is held. There are actually 3 books when he gets there, and he has to pick the right one. One of them attacks him, one of them sucks him into a vortex, and here's the point where he has to say the correct words before he picks it up. The wise man gave him the words, and it's Klaatu Barada Nikto. This is a nod, of course, to the film The Day the Earth Stood Still. And of course, Ash flubs the words, picks up the book, and unleashes the army of Deadites, the army of darkness. He flees the graveyard, makes it back to the castle. However, there is an army of the undead following him, and it's led by Evil Ash, who resurrected once Ash picked up the books and spoke the wrong words. So Ash must train Arthur and his soldiers to combat the Deadites that are invading his castle. They even get Ash's Plymouth that got sucked through the vortex, and they soup it up and put a cow catcher and a propeller on it. So Evil Ash attacks the castle trying to get the Necronomicon. He wants to unleash the evil within, and probably about the last 30 to 40 minutes, it's just nothing but fighting. But of course, in the end, our hero Ash triumphs. They send him back to his own time. We see him working at S-Mart. It's like a Walmart. And of course, a deadite attacks. Ash grabs a gun, fires like 100 shots into her, and kills her. He grabs one of his co-workers, a pretty girl, and he says, "Hail to the king, baby," and kisses her, and that's the end. It's interesting to note that there is an alternate ending where the wise men actually send Ash to the future. Ash wakes up to a ruined alternate future, and then it ends. So, in summation, a great trilogy of movies. I can't recommend it enough. If you've never seen this, go out and watch it as soon as possible. So that's it. Thanks to everyone who supported me and who listened to this review. Thank you all.